Hi and welcome to Watch the Time. This is the last video I'm doing of 2021 and I'm recording it on a different camera. I've got a DJI Pocket Osmo, so I'm going to try the whole video on that. And so I was having a little think about what was the best kind of watch purchase of 2021, and it actually came right at the end, and it was this, the Sugess Panda. Now, I've been looking at this for a while, and I had the 1963. And I quite enjoyed that, but I sold it. But I've always had a bit of a hankering for this watch and watches like it, like the Tudor Black Blade Chrono Panda, the Hamilton Intramatic. I've always had a soft spot for that watch. And so I saw one of these for sale. It only took 5 days to come from China. It was cost me £190. Which I thought was okay, free post and that. And I thought I'll just have a go, just pull the trigger on it. I like the size, I like the specs. We'll talk about the movement later, but bottom line is, since I've had it, I haven't taken it off. Now, it did come on a fairly generic, sort of crappy leather strap, and it also had a mesh strap, which you'd have seen in my previous video when I teased it, when I showed a few watches. So I didn't like it on either of those straps, so I've put it on this Watch Gecko racing strap, which is quite a nice strap, nice quality, fairly expensive. I think it was about £40 to £50, something like that, and it's like a dark red or a burgundy colour, but it actually suits the watch really nicely, I think, and it's super comfortable, and it just works perfectly with this watch. So I'm going to spin the camera around now, if I can. So I'm trying out this Osmo Pocket, so we'll see how we go with it. Okay, so here's the box it comes in. This is just a cardboard box, nothing fancy. It's okay, and you get your little warranty card showing the Sugess, and also another maker's name, Seagul. I don't really know. These are kind of they are what they are, but it's an international warranty. There's a fairly comprehensive booklet. I presume there's some English in it somewhere. Yeah, there's some details about automatic. That's interesting. Automatic mechanic watch. This isn't an automatic watch, so that's obviously a generic thing. Oh, there's loads of different watches in here. So this is their sort of one-fits-all instruction manual. I'm sure you'll find some details about this watch in there. So there's that, and then you take that off, and then the watch comes inside. So that's the box. Let's just take a good close look at the watch. I like the bicompact layout because I do like having subdials that are functional and nothing more. I hate it when they put a 24-hour subdial on just for the hell of it, because I mean, seriously, who needs a 24-hour subdial? I certainly don't, and I don't like them when they're not what I call useful. So these subdials, you've got the running seconds on the left, and the minute counter, which is a 30-minute counter, on the right. Now, my preferred is a 30-minute counter because I just think it's more visible for my crappy old eyes. A 60-minute counter, I find it difficult to actually tell how many minutes have elapsed. Generally, the timer on this is used for cooking, but I do use it for other stuff as well. And obviously, you've got the second hand for the chronograph is there. It's a black second hand with a red tip, which is quite nice. I don't know if you can see at the moment. You might see it flashing. There does appear to be some AR coating, blue AR coating on this crystal, which is a sapphire crystal. A 40mm case, which is a nice size case, and because it's got quite a thin tachymeter around the edge, it a lot of the size is given up to the face, so it's a nice watch on wrist and has lots of presence. It's only 12mm thick, so it's nice and thin. It's not too chunky, it's not super slim, and obviously a fair bit of that is a little bit of that is that domed sapphire crystal, so that takes up a little bit of room. But yeah, nice and thin, 12mm, and you've got the nice balance with the 20mm lug widths, and obviously access to lots of straps and bracelets and different things that you might want. There is a little bit of water resistance here. I'd say it's splash proof, just you know, you've got to be careful with chronographs, with the pushers and that, but 50 metres of water resistance is absolutely fine in a watch like this, in my opinion. And we've got the Seagul ST1901 movement, which is a 21,600 beats per hour movement and about a 40 to 45 hour power reserve. Obviously, it's a hand wind. I just get in a bit of a habit of, you know, giving it sort of 10 to 15 winds. Usually gives it to, you know, a full wind every day. That's fully wound now, and you just saw me do that. That's the first time I've wound it for, well, since yesterday, probably lunchtime. So that's really nice. The actuation of the chronograph is a real nice clunk. Because you've got a column wheel chronograph. This is not the version with the swan neck regulator. This is the standard one, but the column wheel chronograph. Now, my second hand, when, as you can see it ticking there, I don't know if it's me or what, but it looks like it stutters to me, but I've timed it and it works perfectly. And the actual watch itself is running within 3 seconds a day. So I was toying with the idea of returning it and saying there appears to be a little problem with the second hand in that it tends to stutter as it jumps around, but it all works fine, it resets perfectly, and it does measure 60 seconds. Oh, that's good. I just had a message saying that someone's tested positive with COVID who I spent Christmas Day with. Fantastic. More about that later. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, the chronograph works okay, and I've decided to keep the watch because it is so accurate, and you know, they're not particularly expensive, and I'm happy with it. It all works okay, as you see. It's a nice snappy reset. The star of the show here really is this. It's the ST1901 movement, which, as we all know by now, is the a sort of a Chinese version of the Venus 150. The story is they bought all the machinery from China. And I guess that's all gone now, and they've re-engineered it, or you know, designed their own machines, and they're stamping these out willy-nilly for next to nothing. One of the drawbacks of a movement like this is if you go to a jeweller's to get it serviced, it's going to cost you quite a lot of money. So maybe in, I don't know, 5 years, if you're lucky, 10 years time, and it needs a service, and you take it to a jeweller's, it's probably going to cost you more than the cost of a watch. Now, there's two things you can do. One is to buy a new watch, or one is to replace the movement completely. The cheapest option is probably to buy the new watch. You can get this movement for about £110, I think. You can actually pick one up for, and if it's something you can do yourself, you could just, you know, take off the dial, pop the hands off, and drop a new movement in. But you know, it's one of those things. It's a long time down the line, and it's not something I'm worrying about in a watch that costs this much money. You know, end of the day, worst case scenario is it packs up, and you have to replace it and buy a new one, but no dramas. This one is particularly nicely decorated, and the finish is excellent. I really can't fault it, to be honest. I really can't. One of the things I like about this is the styling of the dial. It's very minimalist with regards to text. Sometimes I think watch companies go a bit overboard on the text. You've just got the Sugess at the top, and then mechanical chronograph at the bottom, and that's it. And then you've got obviously the tachymeter around the outside, battens all around. Lume on this, I've heard people say the lume is rubbish, but I don't know if this is like a newer version. The quality is just right up there in my opinion. And I don't know if they've made a few design changes or what, but the lume is great. It doesn't glow particularly bright, and there's not a lot of it. However, this does, and I can't video it because it doesn't show up on video. And yes, I could light it up with a torch and show it glowing nicely, but it really is not a true representation of it. But all I will say is at between 12 o'clock at night and 4 o'clock in the morning, when it's pitch black and you wake up and your eyes are adjusted to the dark, you can see the time on this no problem whatsoever. It's not in the same league as my Tudor Black Bay 58 when it comes to lume, but that's a dive style watch, so there's a lot more real estate for the lume. This doesn't have a lot of lume, but I can see the time. 3 o'clock in the morning, I can wake up, I can see the time. Now you compare that to my Citizen ProMaster Diver that's got a fully lumed dial. I cannot see the time on that, whereas this I can. So it passes that test with flying colours. Case finish is it's just superb. It's mostly high polish, and you've got a nice signed crown. The pushers are a fairly standard affair and high polish. You've got this high polished sort of, we'll call that a bezel round there. You know, there's no brushing on it at all high polish, but all to a really high standard. There's no sharp edges, like the corners of the lugs are sort of pointy, if you say, like but they're rounded off. They're not scratchy. The quality of the case back is beautiful. Just the overall quality and the feel of that sapphire dome crystal on there is just absolutely brilliant. I mean, I absolutely cannot fault this watch, other than the stuttery chronograph second hand, which is weird because although it stutters, it still works perfectly, which is odd. The winding is lovely. I wouldn't call it buttery smooth like my Black Bay 58, but it's a nice tactile. It's not a horrible thing winding it. You can wind it on wrist. It's nice and easy to do. The crown's a nice size, not too big, not too small. I just think it's a really nicely designed watch. So this is the 40mm version. They do I think a slightly smaller version that has Arabics, but I think this 40mm version is beautiful. I'm just going to put it on wrist. So that's on my just over 7¼ inch wrist, and it just fits absolutely perfectly. The wingspan is perfect. It doesn't overshoot my wrist. It's just a lovely watch. It doesn't sort of dig in. It's not too big, not too small. It's just a great watch. Readability of the time during the day isn't always fantastic because of the design of the hands. They're a bit shiny, and sometimes you have to have a second look to tell the time. Again, the Black Bay 58 shines fantastically well there. It's so legible, whereas this isn't as legible, but it's more legible than a Rolex Daytona, for instance. The dial itself is like I'd call it champagne. It's a really nice colour. I would have preferred and like the Hamilton Inchromatic has a white dial, and the Tudor Black Bay Chronograph has the Panda as a proper white dial. But this is a champagne kind of colour dial, and I actually really like it because it does give you kind of different looks. It almost looks a bit sort of salmon pinky in some lights, and other lights it looks like a hint of gold. So it does play with the light nicely, and I really like it. And it's just one of those comfortable watches you just sort of wear, and it's super comfortable. I sleep in it. It's fantastic, and you still interact with it because you've got that element of having to wind it every couple of days. So you do have that sort of interaction with the watch, which I really enjoy. So there you go, the Sugess. I don't know what you call this, Sugess Panda. You could call it the 1963. It is a version of that watch, I suppose. I hope you've enjoyed this. Like, subscribe, comment. As I say, this is a test with the new camera, so I'm hoping it's working okay and that you can hear what I'm saying. If not, I've just wasted about 16 minutes of my life. So anyway, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you next one. Cheers, bye.